Film is an art form which grew from storytelling, narrative drama, mythology, and shadow play. Cinema makes it possible to experience without danger all the excitement and passion of life. Cinema has become one of the most popular and inspiring forms of entertainment, education, and propaganda. The cinema is a complicated medium of both photography and optical illusions. Therefore, before it was invented, several technological requirements had to be met. In order to create motion pictures, scientists first had to realize that the human eye can only perceive motion if there's a series of slightly altered images placed at a random motion. This is a property of vision. In 1832, the optical device was created called the phenakistoscope. This is a photograph to show what the device first looked like, which was created by Belgian physicist Joseph Plateau and Austrian geometry professor Simon Stamfer. The phenakistoscope is a spinning disc of figures that give the illusion of movement when the viewer looks through a slot in a stationary disc. This is the first technological requirement of cinema. Then, in 1833, the zoetrope was invented, which is a device that produces the illusion of movement from a rapid succession of static pictures. The drawings were produced on a narrow strip of paper inside a revolving drum with a light shining through it. As the viewer looked through the slots of the revolving zoetrope, the viewer would then receive the impression of movement. The second technological requirement was the ability to capture and project a rapid series of images on a surface. In the 17th century, entertainers were using magic lanterns to project glass lantern slides. These were paintings of images on glass, which also produced a slight change to create a moving picture. This device allowed you to bank up on slides by having two or more projectors. However, they were unable to flash large numbers of images fast enough to create that sense of motion. This was also the third requirement of cinema, to be able to shine light through slides to be able to project them. The fourth was to be able to print photographs in order to be flexible enough to pass through a camera rapidly. In 1888, film strips or discs of glass were able to be used, however, only with a limited amount of series of images, as the device was unable to register mass amount of images presented to it. This is one of Maybage's earliest motion studies, photographed on June 19, 1878. The next year, transparent celluloid roll films was introduced, creating a breakthrough towards cinema, as the same flexible material in designing machines was used to project motion pictures. The final requirement was for a camera to allow strips of film to stop briefly while light enters through a lens to expose a frame, as well as a shutter to cover the film as another frame moves in to take its place. By the 1890s, the technological requirements necessary for cinema had been met. Edison's studio was called Black Maria and was ready for production by January 1893. The slanted portion of the roof was opened to admit sunlight for filming, and the whole building revolved on a track to capture optimal sunlight. The films recorded lasted no longer than 20 seconds, as that was the longest run of film that the kinokistoscope could hold. The Lumiere brothers were born in France, Auguste in 1862 and Louis in 1864. They were the earliest filmmakers in history. Their father ran a photographic firm where both brothers worked for him, Louis as a physicist and Auguste as a manager. Louis, being a physicist, began to create improvements towards still photograph processes, which was a major step towards moving images. It was not until 1911, when their father died, that the Lumiere brothers began to create moving pictures. The first ever footage was recorded on March 19, 1895, known as Workers Leaving the Lumiere Factory.